Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to go through a bit of housekeeping first to tell you how to contact our presenters to ask questions throughout the webinar. We are recording this webinar and it will be shared among the participants. So if you go to the bottom of your screen, you will see a couple of buttons. You got the Q&A function. This is the primary function to contact our panelists. We will try and get through all questions. And you also have the chat. You can use this to share some information if you like. Otherwise, you've also got raise your hand. We do encourage any form of participation. If you raise your hand, it might take a few minutes for us to get to you, but that's the way to verbalize any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to pass on to Ty to start the webinar.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This is our second webinar in the last couple of weeks or so. You guys have tuned in as everyone's looking for some help with a sponsorship revenue for virtual events. I'll let everyone know we're not presenting this as experts in this industry at the moment. We sort of embodied ourselves as sponsors as we do sponsor quite a few events. The goal of today is give associations and you guys as much inspiration as possible for you guys to ask for sponsorship money for the digital events in the current world that we live in. We know how important it is to continue revenue coming in so our association can keep running. Awesome. So a little quick introductory again into what we're doing with Associations Forum. Shanice is not changing. Yeah, there we go. So if you guys tuned into our last webinar, we are doing quick fire webinars, which are short 30-minute sessions that hopefully provide associations with as much actionable insights as possible. So not just fluffy information, but actual deliverables that you guys can take off and inspire you to flex your creative juices for innovation out there. The last one we ran a couple weeks ago was about creating a little smaller communities. We'll be leveraging a bit of that within this webinar as well to hope to do some revenue there. So yeah, right now we have a few more coming up, a few more about financials, member experience and lead nurturing. But today it's about the events and creating sponsorship opportunities and what's available. In terms of the agenda, we'll be recapping a little bit from last week. We're going to be creating a value proposition for you to take out to your potential sponsors. We're going to use Power BI today. In your case, we can use various different data visualization tools to sell. We'll be understanding the sponsors and what they really want, understanding your digital sponsorship offerings, and then we're going to dabble a little bit into gamification to increase engagement while also creating new sponsorship revenue paths there. Yeah, so in terms of the speakers today, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with myself and Shanice. You'd see us all the exhibitions and also a few webinars with the Associations Forum, sort of getting sick of seeing our faces, Shanice, there. But yeah, let's recap a little bit from last week. We not uncovered, but just really solidified the world that we live in at the moment. As you know, all events have gone virtual, not just association events, personal trainers, yoga, cooking workshops, ballet, a bit of everything, embracing innovation, be bold, daring, and deliver content. We're going to just cover a little bit extra on that today and how we can commercialize that a little bit for sponsorships. We understood what was missing last week, which was networking and sponsorships. So we covered that networking in the last webinar. If you did miss that, I'm sure Alex and all the Associations Forum can share that across. We did have special speakers from Daniel Hakim and also Fabio, ex-CIO of AICD. Yeah, but today we'll be covering the sponsorship part of the virtual events. It's all great to deliver great content and knowledge, but then again, we always do need a bit of money coming through to continue doing these kind of things. Next slide. Is it working? So within my past experience, I actually used to sell sponsorships for commercialized exhibitions like Terrapin. I worked for Terrapin and also Comexposum in the past there. And as a salesperson, you always want to deliver a great value proposition. I want to remind everyone now that your value proposition is probably as higher than ever. We're hearing a lot of associations having trouble asking for money as you don't have that physical aspect. But it lies in the data that everyone's collecting at the moment. We've been working with a few associations where there are higher attendance numbers, higher engagement numbers, higher activity on social media, higher responses in surveys. Members can watch from absolutely anywhere now, and you can organize so many more events that are targeted and niche, and that's so attractive to a sponsor. So to touch on that message, it is all about your data. And Shanice is going to go through a little bit of a demo in a bit, but the underlying message now that everything is digital, it's so much easier to track your members' engagement or to track anything that goes on with an event. It's much more difficult when there are physical, as you don't know where everyone's going. But because everything's digital at the moment, if you guys have different data sources or different platforms, if you have using a good platform, they should be tracking movements and reporting that and creating that value proposition to your sponsors can definitely increase revenue building there. But we know how hard it is. We know how hard it is to ask for the money. It isn't as simple as just saying, hey, we are getting higher numbers. So for us, we work with Power BI. So as Clade Solutions, we're a Microsoft Gold partner. We work with Power BI, which is a data visualization tool. So we work with Power BI, data visualization tool. It connects different data sources together to create the one, I call it sexy dashboards, because it makes your data not just numbers, but pictures and graphs, which really excites marketing or anyone in operations. So if you're able to correlate all that information together on one sexy dashboard, that is your value proposition moving forward. I'm going to get Shanice to go through a little demo on how she's correlated a bunch of data together. Shanice, do you mind running that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just switch my screen. Everyone can see. All right, great. So what I've done is I've just jumped into Power BI, which is, again, what Ty was saying. It's a Microsoft application, pretty powerful reporting tool where you can visualize data from multiple places, whether that's your marketing platform, your events, whether you're using Ivy, Campaign Monitor, or your social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And I guess now that everything has gone digital, it actually makes it a lot easier for you to get that data. And we know that sponsors love data. And I guess a huge advantage of digital sponsorships is that they are optimized for analytics as opposed to your traditional physical event. It is a little bit more trickier to track engagement in a physical event as opposed to a virtual digital event. So what I have on the screen here is an example of a sponsor's return on investment dashboard. So this is effectively going to form the backbone of your value proposition. And you can use this going forward for your future virtual events. And you could show other potential sponsors, your engagements with the existing sponsors that you're working with. So here on the screen, we have a couple of things I wanted to point out. We've got metrics coming from our social media platforms in the bottom right-hand corner. And we've got up at the top here, summarized data points as well from how many webcasts were viewed, the count of landing page visits, email open rates, the number of survey responses that were completed, and also one-on-one scheduled meetings. So it's just a really good example of how you can prove to your sponsors the return on investment that they're getting from your virtual events. So Ty, I think that was just a quick rundown on Power BI and what's possible. You guys might be using an alternative reporting tool, whatever it is. This is the sort of stuff that you want to be working on.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Shanice. So I guess from within Clade as well, I do handle a bit of the marketing. And if I was given something like this to look at when deciding where I should spend the marketing budget here, which events to sponsor, these are a lot more attractive and it's straight to the point as well. It's not diving through different numbers. Also, these dashboards can be dynamic, so they're not just static. So they can update. And we know that associations or anyone that you guys are doing a lot more events these days. So you want these data, these numbers updating continuously. And also one of the biggest numbers at the moment would be email open rates. I'm not too sure if associations out there are seeing the fact that your emails are being opened a lot more now. Numbers have been jumping up incredibly. I ran a campaign 2 days ago and had a click-through rate of 44%, which is so attractive to sponsors. So having their logos on that email, being brand aware, having brand presence on marketing campaigns is huge at the moment. So that's very, very valuable to us. Awesome. Shanice, can you get back to the slides?
Yep. Might just make it full screen for everyone again.
Thank you.
Okay, 1 second. There we go.
All right, awesome. So we now have a value proposition. We've made a very sexy dashboard to create value or to build value for a sponsor to be attracted to sponsoring your events. I can't change the slide, Shanice. Nope.
Oh, that's all right. Hold on, I'll do that. So go back. Yep.
Awesome. So let's understand your sponsors and what they really want. I can only answer this from Clade's perspective or from other companies I worked with in the past. But when we sponsor events, we're sponsoring for brand visibility, exposure, a strong industry presence. We're looking to give back to the community and really get involved, especially during these kind of times as well. We've reached out to associations for them just to have conversations to figure out how we can actually give back to the industry and do a few more things as well. But in a normal world, it is making new connections and it's generating leads. And really to understand your sponsors, our tip would be, can you change the slide, Shanice? I don't think mine's working. Is to pick up the phone and call. The screen sharing is not working properly at the moment.
See if I can fix this.
Sorry.
Okay.
There we go. It is pick up the phone and call. If everyone's sitting there struggling to understand or struggling to ask for money from the sponsors and you guys aren't really calling them, call them, especially during this day and age. I'm lonely at home. Give me a call. I'm happy to listen to what you guys have on offer. It is just call them, seeing what you guys can do. This isn't normal times. We're very digital at the moment, so we can act quite quickly on creating bespoke events for different sponsors. So that's also, don't call that a certain offering, but if you understand what you guys have offered, sorry, slide.
Hi, if you want me to change the slides, I think I might just.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Understand your digital sponsorship opportunities. So today there are a lot more. I think because everyone's gone digital, you're doing so many different communications. But today we're going to focus on three different events. So your events, your webinars, and your workshops. Your roundtables, and then your communications out there. All these are sponsorship opportunities that you can bring to your sponsors. We covered this last week. And it was we had Daniel Hakim coming on from the Club of United Business, and we showcased these are the events they had running in just April alone. So he's got 8 different events going on there. So, and each event has a different kind of speaker, and each speaker have sponsored these events. So you guys can create many more events. Everyone's sitting at home. They don't have to be 1-2 day conferences or 3-4 day exhibitions. They can be short snippets that are very, very valuable to the sponsors. As long as they get brand awareness, they get some presence, they're giving back to the community, things like that, you are delivering value. But we are hearing a lot of, we can't charge as much. That's fine. Create smaller packages, because now you have a lot more opportunities out there as well. Get creative on how you're going to do that. So with your digital events, we've been creative. We did a little bit of workshopping together on how we can actually create brand awareness. We thought about the pull-up banners that we'll bring to exhibitions, and we can't do that anymore. So how can we create banners for these virtual videos? Shanice, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to stop share.
Mm-hmm.
And so that should.
While you're doing that, if I might interrupt, I've just got a question from Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
She's asking, should you purchase Power BI before you start offering webinars, virtual events, or use it to just provide the sponsors with your e-news, social media, or website date as a carrot to support the webinars?
I love Power BI. You can use Power BI for absolutely all aspects of your business, finance, blah, blah. So I'll purchase it first. Especially at the moment now, Microsoft are doing 6 months free licensing, I believe, for Power BI as well. So they're doing free licensing for Power BI as well as Microsoft Teams. So all these tools, everyone has access to it. I'm happy to take phone calls and help and do some consultancy as well. So at Clade, I'm happy to do half-day free consultancy and help everyone set it up. So if anyone has any questions, no obligations, no money, we help set it up there. But if you look at Shanice's screen, this is something that we've been working on. Shanice actually stayed up all night on making sure we've got a few things here. But we haven't seen many associations do this. We've seen a few virtual events. But Shanice, you want to talk through it?
Yeah, absolutely. So now that I've stopped sharing my screen, you should be able to see a magnified view of myself. And in the top right and left corners, you'll see, you know, both the Clade logo as well as the association forum logo. So these are perfect opportunities, you know, during a webcast or a webinar for your sponsors to, you know, put their branding on display. We even have a rolling banner at the bottom here. And that's, you can put any message you like there. So it's really considering every aspect of the tech that you'll be deploying and making sure that you add that branding element and you know, obviously capitalize on the, you know, monetizing those opportunities with your sponsors.
Yeah, and like, these aren't multi-million-dollar ideas, but it might be a couple of $100 here and there, but it does keep your sponsors happy in the meantime, keeps them aware, keeps them in the industry, keeps them in people's eyes, and it's always really appreciated. I guess on the bottom there, they can be giving away prizes, they could be giving away discounts and give away promotions, just a bit of everything that's capable. We're happy to set it up as well. So if anyone has any inquiries in setting up something like this for your next webinar, we're more than happy to. The design isn't so pretty at the moment, but we can make it prettier with a graphic designer and stuff like that. But this was just whipped up overnight. Well, we've been working on it for a little bit in developing it, but this presentation was whipped up overnight there.
Ty, we do have a couple of questions now.
Yep.
Michelle is asking, so how do you add a rolling banner? Do you need Power BI?
No, so this one's a different technology. So Power BI was just that dashboard. This was just an idea what we've come up with. I'm happy to take a phone call after this as well, or an inquiry, and we can set something up for your association and run you guys through some training on it. This is something that we've developed overnight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Annabelle's asking, can you do that in any meeting platform?
Yes,
Yeah, whether it's,
yeah,
go for it.
Actually, this is more you.
No, this gets me really excited. So the best part of this technology is you can use it on multiple collaboration platforms. So whether it's Zoom, whether it's Microsoft Teams, GoToWebinar, whatever tool that you're using within your organization, it's compatible. So I guess that's the greatest advantage of something like this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for us it's Microsoft Teams, but yeah, we bent over to associations forum and did it for Zoom as well.
Annabelle's just going to follow on saying this would be a great training webinar to do, as I reckon we would all love this. So yep. Thank you for that, Annabelle. Awesome. Anna is asking, so this is not really for the first online event. You need to be able to gather this info via Power BI first before you can present this to sponsors. What would you do for the first ever online conference?
If you're doing your first ever online conference, so it doesn't have the data doesn't have to be coming just from events. The data can, and once again, it doesn't have to also be Power BI. There are other tools out there. We're just using Power BI, but your analytics from your marketing campaigns should be increasing. So everyone will be sending a lot more emails out there, getting a lot more open rates, which would encourage higher attendance for these events as well. Your social media, your activity on social media should be highly engaged. It should be a lot higher. If it's not, then we're happy to even have a consulting discussion on that as well. But once again, if it's your first event, it's just really creating a value proposition for your sponsors to see that your members are online. Your members are interacting with the association still to create that value proposition. I hope that answers it.
Thank you, Ty. Jason is asking, as Power BI is a Microsoft product, are you aware if it is Apple applicable product?
Shanice?
Yeah, so with Power BI, you can actually plug into a lot of third-party applications. So it doesn't have to, like whether you're on a Mac or a Windows, environment, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got a web browser, Chrome, Safari, whatever you're using, it will work.
Thank you. We have a couple more here.
Yep.
Just a comment from Mel. There are other platforms to Power BI. We use Qualtrics, for example.
Alex, you just cut off there.
Yes, sorry. They said we add Qualtrics, for example. I don't think I pronounced that properly. Sorry. Candy's saying would be interested to find out if associations are, sorry, that noise is annoying. We would be interested to find out if associations are packaging their sponsorship offerings, e.g. gold, silver, and bronze. And if so, what are the price ranges? Most virtual platforms are offering the same sponsors options, banner ads, TV commercials, stream sponsorship. Is there anything you can add to that offerings?
I'll continue getting creative in your offerings. We've created an app that we're going to show you guys in a little bit as well. But yeah, so we did some brainstorming before putting this webinar together and thinking, what have we sponsored and how we can digitize that. So this was just the pull-up banner idea. We've gamified a few different things as well, which we'll run through in a little bit as well, if that's okay.
And one final one, Ty, if you don't mind. Anna's saying, other than data, what else can you offer sponsors as entitlements for online conferences?
We have an idea that we created a little power up, which is, I think it's the next couple of slides. Hang in with us, guys.
I'll get there.
Make sure everyone stays towards the end. Yeah, so we're going to go through roundtables and we're going to gamify an app which will make doing mundane things with events quite fun, that we thought would be a good idea that we can add there as well. But yeah, Alex, you cool if we continue? Is there any more?
Yes, we're good to go.
Awesome. So another idea that we thought we can add onto just virtual conferences, and we spoke about this at the last webinar, which was creating communities within your association membership. And we created these digital roundtables or communities of interest. And we hosted them within Microsoft Teams, but you can host it within any other collaboration tool that you may have. And then we went through the formula of what created an effective roundtable, a digital roundtable was a few key points. Make sure it's a specific group of 10 to 12 maximum, create a structured engagement, have a chair, and then meet more than just once. This opening for a sponsorship opportunity is you can get quite creative with that, but because you have small groups of 10, you'll be sending quite niche marketing communications. You'll also have a channel that they will be attending to every single meeting. And then you can also have giveaway prizes and giveaways within this channel. Shanice, do you want to run through a couple of opportunities that we can add into sponsorship packages?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So yeah, this might look familiar to anyone who attended our last webinar. So just as Ty mentioned, so I'm now in Microsoft Teams, and again, it's a collaboration tool that allows us to create mini communities of 10 to 12. So here we have a specific community called the Affordable Luxury Community of Interest Group. And what I really want to highlight today is the areas within this platform or within the platform you're using to highlight the sponsor's branding and their name, their logo, any sponsored messages. So as the first place you could put that in would be dedicated channels. So we've got a general channel, we've got a latest news channel, and we've got a make a new industry connection, so the networking channel. This is where you can really highlight your sponsors' branding, their name, their product. We also have a couple of areas within the channel. So here at the top, we can see there are a bunch of social posts that the members are, regularly communicating with one another on a weekly basis. They're also able to share documents. They've got a group calendar. So these are all things we touched on last week. But what I want to highlight is the opportunity to add, their logo within an app. So we will touch on this in a few minutes, but just as a teaser, this is an example of where you could put your sponsor name and logo. The areas would be the chair. So in a physical roundtable event, you've got a chair that's taking notes with a pen and paper. So here we would have a virtual notepad where the chair will be able to take their notes, but then we can also include sponsor branding and name on that virtual notepad as well.
Yeah, and this also, like creating these little communities definitely gives the sponsors an opportunity to speak to targeted markets. They already know the people on there. I'm sure you hear your sponsors asking for delegate lists all the time, or asking for leads all the time. But you're giving them the list first, and then giving them an option to select which one to sponsor. If you had an association of 100 people and you created 10 little small groups, that's 10 new sponsors that you can be bringing on board. These aren't, like I said, these aren't multi-million-dollar, thousands, hundreds of $1,000 sponsorships, but they are small little revenue pockets that you can create there that are very effective to sponsors. Cool. So I want to jump into the last demo that we want to do as well. Sorry, Shanice, can you jump back to the slides?
That's okay? Definitely.
So I'm being wary of time as well.
Yep.
So the last demo we've done, we've actually used gamification. I don't know if everyone's heard of gamification before. It's been around for the last 10 years or so, but from my side, it hasn't really kicked off within events. But I think with the age that we're living in now, that all events gone digital, I think gamification is more important than ever. It is adding a fun element to some mundane tasks. So what we've done is gamified mundane event activities using Power Apps. If you haven't heard of Power Apps before, it is once again a Microsoft tool that helps you create simple, effective apps with low code and very, very low cost. I don't know how many times we've had an association reach out to us wanting to build an event app or building an app before, and then getting a bit disheartened how much it costs. Telling you now, the Power App that we're about to show you isn't very visually sexy, but it was done within 12 to 24 hours. Very simple, very simplistic, but it's something that you can utilize for your association with a few branding opportunities there. Shanice, over to you.
No problem. So just jumping back into the Microsoft Team environment, we've actually embedded the Power Apps, exactly what Tyler was mentioned. And I was working with Anupa, one of my colleagues, on this Power App. So I'll just navigate to there. And I guess the point to illustrate is that anything that your attendees will be looking at or interacting with is a good opportunity to incorporate sponsor branding. So as an example, this is what we've called it the Icebreaker app. And then all your attendees can enter what we call the Games Lounge. So if we enter the Games Lounge, what we've done is we've taken all those mundane activities that your attendees typically don't want to do, whether it's completing a survey post-event or during the event, whether it's, they're promoting their willingness to swap business cards with sponsors or other delegates, or completing a quiz. So we've taken those mundane tasks and we've gamified it. So by completing a quiz, a survey, or swapping their business cards to someone else, they go into the draw to win a prize, whether that's an Uber Eats voucher, a Woolworths gift voucher, or a bottle of Dom Perignon. So we actually gave away a Dom Perignon at the...
We do it every year.
Yeah, we do it every year.
We do it every year for business card drop, yeah.
But just a quick example, if we went into, say, the survey one, your attendees would be able to, complete this survey, and then once they submit it, they'll earn 20 points, and that will, attribute to their overall sum of points. And if they're really great and engaged in these activities in the virtual event itself, then they might even get onto the leadership board and show up on the top 10. But before I go to the leadership board, I just wanted to highlight the swap business card icebreaker activity. So here, attendees can scan their business card and then verify the information on that card, hit submit, and you've just gamified sharing of their details. And so sponsors and like the networking aspect of that is huge.
Yep.
And finally, the leadership board is just a fun way to show, who's really interacting at this virtual event, and it gives your sponsors a good way in to reach out to your delegates as well.
So this was a cool way. Obviously, sponsors can sponsor all the prizes and make it as attractive as possible. There's branding opportunities there. There's higher engagement as well, especially if you're running long webinars that go for over 3 to 5 hours or so. It's always a good way to break it up. take a pause, get everyone to interact with the Power App or whatever you guys want there. We did the surveys, but you guys can create different quizzes or different questions about speakers and things like that on the go as well. We thought that was a cool way. We were trying to replace our little business card drop at the exhibition stands. That was how we generated leads at the exhibitions, and we wanted to digitize that. And we're like, how are we going to get that with everyone working virtually? We thought creating a Power App could be fun addition to adding all this stuff, adding a fun way to communicate with them. Yeah, so that was the Power App demo there. I think that was all of it. What's next, Janice? Yeah, and then just simple Q&A, guys. That's 30 minutes up there. We want to keep it short and precise to the message there. But I thought, just to recap, we created a value proposition using Power BI, which was a data visualization tool that collects all your data together. We understood the mentality of a sponsor. I'm hoping this sort of session helps inspire everyone to give the sponsors a call, just to have a chat. I know it's tough times and some people might be scared to call other people, but give them a call, have a chat and go, what would you guys want? End of the day, how can I get your money? And then create opportunities for that. We understood some digital sponsorship opportunities out there. We showcased our little banner and logos on top of each webinar. I thought that was really cool. Digitizing your sponsorships using roundtables and creating branding opportunities there. And then we gamified a few mundane task-driven events with a Power App that increases engagement.
Okay, Ty, just before we let everyone go, I just have one final question for you and then we'll wrap up. Michelle is asking, what price point would you charge sponsors for community groups?
For setting up community groups within teams? I
believe so.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a chat outside, but honestly, it's about a 1 to 2 day engagement. Shanice, you probably highlight that a bit more. It's about a 1 to 2 day engagement.
No, I think she's asking how much would you charge sponsors
sponsorships
for putting their branding on, or like for them to sponsor a community of interest group.
It's hard to throw out a number there. Don't quote me on this one too much, but honestly, Clade would be happy chucking $500 for each roundtable that we do sponsor. Like I said, it isn't $1 million idea, but it does keep revenue coming through. But on top of that, as a $500 sponsorship, I'll be in charge of giving away the prizes as well, making sure it's a good prize. So your members get something out of it, a cool prize at the end of each session. You can pocket $500 to $1,000 for each session. But that also comes with marketing material. Having my logos on marketing communications can really help out.
Okay, well, I would like to thank Ty and Shanice from Clade Solutions for running this webinar with us and for providing your knowledge. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we will be sharing this recording. And also, Ty, we're able to share the slides.
100%, of course. We also have another webinar on the 14th of May. We'll be using Power BI there. So if you guys are really curious about Power BI, we'll be running a workshop on that.
And otherwise, we look forward to having you in another webinar in the future, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.